Hello, we are analyzing As Told by Ginger, Season 1, Episode 1, Ginger the Juvie. And I have to say, shout out to this theme song, one of the best theme songs ever. It starts off with Courtney eavesdropping on Ginger and friends, and they talk about giving each other pedicures after school, and then Dodie's mom comes to pick them up, and Dodie calls Fruntsies. And honestly, of course Dodie calls Fruntsies, like 1 second in, and you can tell she's annoying. Anyway, Courtney asks Miranda what Fruntsies means, and Miranda doesn't know either. Then Courtney says that they'll have to look it up. And cut to Ginger and friends, and Ginger says everything looks good on Courtney Grippling. And of course, the other two also fawning over Courtney because everyone does. And then we cut to Courtney getting her nails done by Miranda, and Miranda's like, why are we not at the salon? And Courtney's like, well, I want to do what Ginger does, basically. She just wants to do normal things since she's very rich and doesn't experience that. Miranda, I just don't think likes being that close with people. I think she likes having a very superficial friendship. Then we cut to Blake, Courtney's little brother, spying on them and their conversation. He overhears Courtney saying that she wants to invite Ginger Fatley to her birthday party. And obviously Miranda is like, she's a wannabe, no. And Courtney says this.
Still, there's something about her.
And the lesbian undertones are already there, and I guess you could see it as Courtney just being interested in Ginger's normal life and her genuineness, but she goes a little over the top throughout the seasons, and there's something else, in my opinion. So in the B plot, Blake is getting the frequency of Carl and Hoodsy's walkie-talkies, and he blackmails them, attempts to blackmail by saying, I have information if you give me the eyeball. Carl's like, well, you already told me the information, which is that Ginger is invited to Courtney's party. Courtney's also practicing her surprised look and whatever she's going to say at the party. Carl correctly blackmails Ginger, unlike what Blake tried to do to him. He says he has information about Courtney. He exchanges the information for Ginger's hair curler. He doesn't say why he wants it. He says classified, which he does say recurringly in the show when he doesn't want to say what he's doing. After Hoodsy spills the tea, Dodie is more excited than Ginger, like she's the one being invited. First glimpse into how much more she is popularity thirsty over the others. Then her little brother Hoodsy, my beloved, clocks her.
Everyone who is anyone will be there.
You guys aren't going.
It's still the best news ever.
Ginger's reading Courtney's invitation. The hall monitor yells at her because she's annoying. And Ginger runs into Courtney. Courtney looks mad at first, but then she's like very happy to see Ginger, which she says. She also says this.
Of course I am. We're really good friends. We are?
Which is one of the first moments we see how assertive Courtney is with her friendship with Ginger, already asserting that they're friends even though they've hardly spoken. Then the hall monitor interrupts to be annoying again and suddenly sees that it's Courtney and switches up because everybody sucks up to Courtney, which shows the dynamic in the school. Then we see our first interaction between Miranda and Ginger.
Ginger. Hi, Miranda. I see you're washing your hands. That's good. Very good.
Ginger's face right there was real. So Dodie and Macy are eavesdropping in the stall. Miranda says that Ginger better get Courtney a good gift because Courtney already has everything, which stresses Ginger out because she comes from a poor family and what is she going to get a girl that has everything? So unfortunately, this will not be the last time that Macy falls from the stall after eavesdropping. Yes, it happens again. Maybe she just shouldn't do that. Macy tells Ginger that her gifts to her are always really nice. And then Dodie, of course, Dodie has something to say that isn't nice.
Some lame-o gift like hand-painted barrettes isn't going to help her now. Even though I really like those ones you made me.
Dodie, you did not deserve those. So, the boys are talking in their school bathroom, and they're talking about going to Courtney's party, just to, take embarrassing photos of Blake, basically, something like that. You also can see in the background, written on the bathroom stall, Courtney is a babe. I think this is a funny detail. I like that even the elementary school kids are obsessed with Courtney. It just shows how much Courtney's influences. We also find out why they wanted the curling iron, which is basically to curl other people's hair for money, which is one of their first money schemes that we see.
How much for a curly hairdo? Not selling today, Walker.
Then we see our first appearance of Darren. We see him getting bullied by a jock, which is kind of ironic considering Darren becomes a jock later, but that's a bit later. They're still talking about the present for Courtney dilemma, and Miranda comes and says, I can help you. She basically tells them that they can steal a bank sign. Well, Ginger can steal a bank sign that says enter for Courtney, I guess for her room, or I don't know. The girls are obviously not very fond of the idea of Ginger stealing. Miranda tells Ginger she has till 4:15 after her clarinet lessons to tell her if she's going to do it or not. We then see Blake playing with toys, and Carl and Hoodsy come up to talk to him. And this is like the first time what we see of how Blake thinks of Carl just by this.
Hello, Blake. Carl! Woody?
It's Hoodsy, Blake, with an H.
So Blake also has an obsession with one of the Foutley children. You could see it as him having a crush on Carl, which I've seen other people say, and I didn't really pay much attention to it since they're children, and they're much younger than Ginger and Courtney, but Carl gets a girlfriend like later on, so I feel like fair is fair. When I first watched it, I thought Blake was kind of obsessed with Carl because he wants friends, and he's obviously seen to be very lonely, always hanging out with Winston, his butler, but it's funny that he specifically likes Carl and not really Hoodsy. And Hoodsy, in my opinion, is the better child character, but... So Carl schemes. He knows that Blake is kind of obsessed with him. He says they can have a play date on the day of Courtney's party, which Blake is like, that's Courtney's party, so I can't. And he looks very sad here when Carl says that he can't reschedule, and that's the only day he can do. We then see Ginger on her floor, stressed out about her dilemma. We see Darren in the window, first time we see him come in the window. He says one thing, which for some reason makes Ginger be like, okay, actually, I am going to steal this sign, because I have to. Miranda says that she despises the clarinet, so we get information that she is forced to do that by her parents. The clock also turns exactly 4:15 when Ginger calls to tell her that she is going to do it. Miranda does her evil laugh, and then she draws on Ginger in the yearbook, which I have to admit I have done before in middle school. Then cut to Courtney.
Oh, for me? What a lovely surprise! Is the receipt in the box?
This scene's actually before Miranda comes back from band practice, but I didn't think it was important, but it actually is because they're trying to contact Blake through the walkie-talkie and they get him, but they don't show the conversation, but it makes sense for the next scene with Blake.
Tonight's the big night. Carl, Woodsy, and an up-close look at that precious eyeball.
Hold on, can we rewind for a second? What is that? Do you guys see that? Why is there a picture of Carl in a frame? These griplings have very obsessive behavior. Just another small detail of Blake's Carl obsession. And then he says this.
Not bad for the tender age of 7 3/4.
It's really hard to believe that him, Carl, and Hoodsy are 7.5 here. They do not speak or act like they're 7.5. Me, like, they give more like 9, 10, but I guess. Then we see the first appearance of Ginger and Carl's mom. She's saying bye to Ginger, heading to work, and she reminds Ginger that Carl is grounded from what he did last weekend. Meanwhile, Ginger and friends are ready to raid Carl's room to find outfits to steal the sign in. Darren unlocks Carl's door with his headgear, very interesting, and Carl's room is obviously filled with alarms and for some reason raining meat it looks like. Ginger unplugs the alarm and they find the outfits. And Macy has a very funny line here.
Let's do this thing! Macy. Sorry, must be the adrenaline talking.
This is the first we see that Macy can be a little bit of a wild card. We don't always know what to expect from her. Then Blake asks this to Winston.
Give it to me straight, Winston. Do I look cool enough to play with?
You're all that and a bag of fish and chips, sir.
This just makes me really sad for Blake. And unfortunately, it gets sadder because he was set up by Hoodsy and Carl.
Winston, there's been a bit of tomfoolery.
Seriously, what 7-year-old speaks like this? We then see Carl and Hoodsy in Blake's treehouse raiding his fridge, making a mess in his treehouse. And then they pull out a light and a camera. We then see that Courtney is telling Miranda that it's almost time for her to come out. Miranda's like, she needs to wait because I need to make a call, which is to her dad, to snitch on Ginger, to get Ginger in trouble. And her dad is a police officer, we find out in this episode. And Carl takes a picture of Miranda. Ginger is then struggling to take the sign because she is a good girl and so are her friends, and she's waiting a little bit too long, which ends up in getting her caught at the worst time possible. And her friends run away. They're like, bye girl. But they end up all getting caught, and I actually feel bad for Ginger because she looks really scared here. Like, seriously, shame on Miranda for that. We then see Blake getting cut down by Winston, and he says that he's going to get revenge on Carl and Hoodsy. And he knows exactly what to take, which is the petrified eyeball, so he goes into their doghouse and gets it. Which starts a lot of chaos throughout the show. Then see all the kids in the police car. We see Ginger in the back, and she's asking if she's going to go to prison, and he's like, no, you're just going to get community service, which will be the next episode, and probation, and she's just like scared she's gonna go to jail. Then we finally see Courtney walk out to do her surprise face, but Ginger is rolling down the street in the cop car, and Carl and Hoodsy see that Ginger's in there, and they're like super hype about it because of course they are. And then this happens where Ginger is hiding from everybody because she doesn't want them to see her, but then she rolls down the window and says this.
Sorry I couldn't make it to your party, Courtney. I got arrested for robbing a bank. And look, I didn't even get Ahem. Ginger Foutley got arrested for robbing a bank? What a total and complete surprise!
So Courtney made the moment work, and Miranda was not so happy about that.
Will somebody please explain to me how even when Ginger Foutley loses, she wins?
Then we see Carl and Hoodsy running to tell Miss Foutley that Ginger has been arrested. And then the police station calls to tell Miss Foutley that themselves. Blake is mad that his treehouse is dirty, but Winston shows that the little guy won, quote unquote, that he got the eyeball, and then Blake says this.
We shall meet again, Mr. Foutley.
We then find out that Ginger knows that Miranda set it all up because of the picture Carl took of her on the phone. She doesn't know how she could have been fooled like that by her. Girl, I don't know either, because that evil laugh, did you not hear that? This is also the first time we see her writing in her diary, which is very important to the plot. Then her friends leave a message for her.
Hi, Ginger, it's me. I'm grounded for a month and Macy is hyperventilating, but I just wanted you to know that absolutely everyone is talking about you. The entire middle school in a tizzy. So if you get this message, you must call me back. Too bad I'm not allowed to use the phone.
So this is the end of the episode. I think it's a pretty good episode, especially for the pilot. I think it definitely gives a lot of information of the dynamics in the show. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned to the next episode.